regards...
you keep saying this is 2025. This is September. You know when they say it's the ember months, they just know that it's over. The year is over.
Well,
we're just a few months into
for politics, one day is a long day.
It is right here. Just few months between us and 2027.
See, I agree.
I call it few months.
Yes, few months. Yeah. But the truth is, in politics, 1 month, 1 day.
I agree.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
So now all of these excesses can be checked.
Okay.
You know, if you have, if you believe that you can actually use, you know, a thug or people to actually harass other persons, if this can actually be followed to logical conclusion, a lot of persons will definitely take a step back instead of using this sort of means to actually settle whatever, whether civil dispute or you know, if you feel you're being insulted, I think you should just go to court, you know, to actually address your claim instead of actually using people to actually. I mean, fighting a woman is very difficult. So.
God, please don't make this a gender thing. Fighting is just even not right. Yeah. So
fighting a woman is.
Oh, please stop, guys. Let's end that particular hashtag there. We move on now to the next one, which is hashtag Good Luck Jonathan. So a PDP chieftain, Jerry Ghana, has come out to say that it is on record. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is going to run in 2027 for the presidency and that he's going to return to Asu Rock. He's saying this with so much certainty you would think he's the INEC chairman. But hey, people are reacting to this one. Netizens basically say that the little goodwill that former President Goodluck Jonathan has left is what people are trying to scuttle and that he shouldn't agree or something like that. So why don't you hear from the horse's mouths? I take you back to X now. Say you take a look at a couple of publications that broke this particular news, and then we take a look at reactions. The Guardian Nigeria says, former Information Minister Professor Jerry Ghana has said that former President Goodluck Jonathan will contest the 2027 presidential election on the platform of the PDP and reclaim the presidency. Let's take a look at the other publication that posted this one. Lots of them did. I just picked a couple. Nigeria Story says Goodluck Jonathan will contest the 2027 presidential election on the platform of the PDP. That is a different twist to it. Not the ADC, Jerry Ghana is saying the PDP. Former Minister of Information and Orientation, Professor Jerry Ghana. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the reactions now, and then we'll find out why Ikechukwu is nodding his head. So Ali says, the little dignity they couldn't rip off him, they want to finish it now. This is actually a wrong time for him to be on the ballot. He needs to work very, very hard to bring PO, that will be Peter Obi and Atiku, on board for him to stand a chance against Tinubu, and I don't see that happening. Big Win says, JEJ should just preserve the respect Nigerians have for him and stay away from politics. These guys play a dirty game, and GEJ doesn't tread that way. I don't see Tinubu leaving that seat 2027. Filippo Saga says, in a country of over 200 million human beings, what we do is to choose to recycle 0.000001% of our population to lead us. $1 billion question. The real P says, let GEJ say it himself. The last time you people said this, he came out and said he wasn't going to run for 2027. So let him come and say it himself. What do you make of this, though?
So there were talks about Jonathan and David Mark in a closed-door meeting. I think yesterday or earlier today, that the talk was geared towards, David Mark, Jonathan telling David Mark that, he wants to run under the platform of the ADC, and, basically he wants them to give him the ticket to run as the preferred candidate of the ADC.
This is the grapevine buzzing.
Yes. So basically now, if that happens, right, I'm actually trying to look at the both candidates who will be running, which is the former President Jonathan and the incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If that happens, I think Jonathan is going to win. Absolutely. Jonathan is.
How did you come to that conclusion? How?
If every other person step aside, right? It's okay. The articles and the OBs decide to step aside. Jonathan is going to win.
Based on what?
Virtually everywhere in the South. If they not support him, if they not backs him, because that's exactly where it's going to come to, where the vote is going to come from most is the North. So if they not say, okay, we want you, we trust you because you just have 4 years, you can't even rigmarole around this one. This is 4 years because every other person will be on Amechi has been clamoring for, just give me 4 years, right? So yeah. Jonathan is one person who constitutionally has just only 4 years, right? So if he decides to actually throw his hat and the ADC agrees to actually, put him on stance against this president, again, there are other, other sides, people who also feel that perhaps the former president might actually be playing a game for the APC to actually weaken the ADC. Now, this is his. Remember that Mama Peace, which is the wife of the former president, Jonathan, at some point came out to say that, this president, Bola Tinubu, actually worked for his husband to become, the president in 2011, right? He's one of the persons who actually, gave their blessings for him to become the president, that they don't see themselves running against this president.
Yeah, but you said something that I'm trying to wrap my head around, that if Jonathan decides to contest against Tinubu, he would win in 2027. But I'm saying for that to happen, he will have to scale through the primaries of the said political party. And if it's going to be the ADC, which I don't think it is, because he's not come out to say anything,
that's why
you'll have to go through people like
Atiku. There was actually a talk.
And Peter Obi.
There was actually a talk between him and David Mark. That's a fact.
But we don't know the contents of
absolutely. What I'm saying is, yes, what I'm saying is, if it happens that the ADC decides to say, every other person take a back seat and let him go, right? We know that the primaries can be actually sketchy. It's tricky. It could be anybody's game. It's like penalty shootout.
I don't even see that happening.
No, I'm just saying if it happens. So I also believe that a person of his stature, right, will not want to go through primaries. No, I don't see Jonathan going through any primaries. If he wants to run, it's going to be them handing him the ticket. Anyway, whether the PDP...
A consensus candidate? Unopposed? I don't even see that happening.
No, I'm not saying for the ADC. I'm saying anywhere he wants to run.
No, okay, maybe the PDP.
Anywhere he wants to run.
But definitely not the ADC.
If it is the ADC, it's going to be the same thing.
The ADC where you see people like stalwarts like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, El Rufai, and the likes of Rotimi, Peter Obi, putting their all into this whole thing.
But Peter Obi and former President Jonathan had a meeting.
Absolutely, we had that hashtag. But where do you keep former Vice President Atiku Abubakar?
Why? Atiku is the person to beat.
That's it.
You know why?
You said
because, a lot of persons also within the ADC. I mean, we had one of the chieftain of the ADC in person of former Minister Dalong the other day, right? Mm-hmm. And who was talking about there's nothing like zoning. Even Bolaji Abdullahi, the secretary, and even Paul Ibe, also all of them reiterated the same thing, that there's no zoning. Now, if it goes to that, right? I don't know. I don't think there's anybody on the
okay. So why don't we let's not crack this nut until we get to that bridge, yeah? When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. Or else you're just going to give yourself some migraine, and we don't want that right now. So let's wrap up this particular hashtag. We move on now to the next one, which is just breaking really. Terrorism sponsors. So these African countries are saying, since Nigeria has decided not to do anything, they're going to name and shame financiers of terrorism. So Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, they have come out to say that their intelligence architecture are going to come out together and publish the name of politicians sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria and Africa. I got a screenshot, right? Credit goes to The Guardian for that. So you just have a feel of it. And then Ikechukwu and I will talk about it a little bit before we talk about Dangote versus Dipeng. So intelligence agencies in the Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, and Mali are set to expose top Nigerian politicians who are raiding militants terrorizing the country. According to DW, a German news agency, these foreign intelligence agencies already have the names of the politicians, financing militants and selling weapons to them, and are preparing to expose their identities. The news agency further noted that some of these politicians have been arrested and investigated, and investigations into their illegal activities have commenced. Nigeria has been grappling with insecurity for decades, and there have been allegations of politicians sponsoring armed groups. I mean, why are they touting their horn before, releasing the names? I'd rather they just release the names and just drop the bombshell, instead of making an announcement that we're going to do this, we're going to do this. What do you think the said politicians or people who think their names might be on the list, what do you think they might be doing right now? Of course, they'll be scampering all over the place to ensure that this doesn't happen.
Well, the truth is, whether it happens or not, what's going to happen? That's the question. I mean, Saudi Arabia also have these names, release certain names, and what happened to the persons even here in this country. Of course, remember former Minister Bantami was also fingered amongst one of the list, names that was listed in one of these countries. But I mean, the truth is that yes, it is good for them to actually release it, at least so we know. But the way the world works, right? And this is one thing, the one piece I've actually come to live with. The way the world works is that Africans, the rest of the world really care less about Africans. So even if
I don't kind of agree.
So I'll tell you, right? If you have list of people financing terrorist financiers, say perhaps in Europe, right? These guys will be hounded. These guys will be brought down completely by the establishment, not just in their country, but in their own continental, like for example the EU, and then of course they most likely going to be facing criminal charges in the world stage, right? But we don't have those. I mean, we see, for example, I'll give you another example. Former Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, will have a case of genocide, for what happened under his watch in the Southeast. But he came out, and when he came out, the former president PMB made him, an ambassador, right? So these things are just covered to actually protect them. So we have all of these problems, right? And African countries are not that very big to actually take certain decisions that is going to affect the world. So except we're actually calling on the world to actually say, okay, these are the lists, so please help us deal with them. Well, I don't think there's more to
I think it's going to be a big deal if you're named as a sponsor of terrorism. It's a big deal. Now, apart from the damage or the dent to your reputation, it's going to be really sanctions. I mean, not too long ago, the U.S. came out to say that it's going to sanction corrupt politicians and all of that. It's a song they've been singing for a very long time, though. But then again, sometimes they would rather not have you come into their country and withdraw some benefits or some luxuries from you and all of that. These things, really, they're a big deal for these politicians. But my thing is, right, this is not the first time that other nations feel they should do Nigeria's work for them.
Okay.
Some years ago, former governor of Bayelsa State, Alamesia, who was fingered for corruption, was arrested in the UK. The case was prosecuted, and he was jailed and released, came back to Nigeria, got a presidential pardon. Not too long ago...
He dressed like a woman.
Yeah.
He escaped, not like he ran.
Yeah, whatever. He got a presidential pardon in Nigeria, so he's no longer a convict as far as Nigeria is concerned. Ike Kwerimadu and his wife were jailed in the UK. This Ike Kwerimadu is a top lawmaker, the number 2 when it comes to the Senate, as at that time. For what now? Organ harvesting.
That's a very big crime.
Massive crime.
That
happened in the UK. Not too long ago, a Finnish court jailed or asked Simon Ekpa to be jailed for 6 years. These are Nigerians who are calling their fate outside the country. How come in Nigeria we don't have victories like this? Some might argue that a number of high-profile politicians too have been jailed in Nigeria, like Darie and a couple of them. So do you think that the judiciary in Nigeria is working on just one leg?
No. Basically, what happened is this: when the case in particular is not directly affecting the country, like it's not directly, tainting the image of the country.
Maybe not even just the judiciary alone.
No, I'm
talking about intelligence, really.
I'm looking at the person,
yeah,
the actor, the criminal in this case, right? If the person who is committing this crime is not, the person's case is not really tainting the country, the foreign power, there's little to come out of it. I'll give you an example, right? For Simon Ekpa, right? His activities, he was actually in Finland. So whatever he was doing at the point.
In Finland? For crying out loud, they said he caused incitement in the southeast that led to the deaths of so many people.
I'm coming. So what he was doing in Finland, right? I mean, one of the things why he was actually arrested was, the fact that he was actually raising money and all of that, right? They actually were able to prove, terrorism charge through that for his case. Now, he was in Finland doing that.
But what did he face? Terrorism charges?
Yes, right, and money laundering. So he was in Finland doing that. So Finland has a reputation to protect. The case of Ekere Madu as well. The incident happened in UK, in England, so they have a reputation to protect.
How about Alamesia?
Now, for the case of Alamesia, right, again, right, Alamesia escaped and the Nigerian government actually bailed him.
Yeah, but
no, I'm coming. Why I'm saying this is that if you commit a crime that is not directly tied to this country, they will most likely just look away. That's what they do. You remember the case of Umar Odiko, who was
that's the case,
who was
right?
smuggled.
If that's the case, yeah.
Who was smuggled in the 80s. The British government know that if you can actually smuggle a man from our country, this is going to be a big dent to us. They stopped it.
So there's something you said not too long ago on this particular platform, that the US as well as the West were complicit in removing Goodluck Jonathan, and that they used the BBOG agenda, the hashtag bring back our girls agenda.
So it's very well amplified there.
You just said something that if the West is not directly affected in a case,
it's a case of interest, yes, for them.
Yeah, they just turn the other way. But you also said they were the ones that made sure that Goodluck Jonathan was removed from power using the hashtag BBOG. So was that directly affecting the West?
So right,
affecting the West.
So it was a case of interest for the West.
How is
now,
it?
If you look at during Jonathan's regime, right? If you go back, you know that Nigeria was doing a lot of projects at that point. Nigeria was facing China. China was more like, the people in Nigeria was doing a lot of business.
Okay, so you're saying that because China was, well, that's your opinion. I don't buy it. Let's wrap up this particular hashtag.
Absolutely.
The next one is hashtag Dangote. You do know that the oil mogul has been in tug of war with Pengassan. In fact, he came out to say in 2024 that the oil marketers in Nigeria is their oil mafia. That's what he called them, and that they are even more dangerous than the cartel, the drug cartel. I have that. One publication put that up. So why don't we go to XA, you take a look at what Dangote said precisely, and then you see how people are reacting to the tug of war between Dangote and Pengassan. Dangote, by the way, sacked no less than 800 staff.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Very huge.
Oh, huge. Who decided to join, the union, and he replaced them with 2,000 Indians. And Pengassan is crying wolf right now. Lots of people are saying, gosh, what is going on? The federal government is trying to wade into this particular matter. Pengassan is spitting fire like a dragon. They're saying they're going to go on strike and shut things down in the Dangote Refinery and all of that. But we are waiting to see how this particular one pans out. But let me take you to X. So you take a look at the statement Dangote made in 2024. I never knew that the oil industry mafia is stronger than the drug cartel. It's the big cartel. I will say this everywhere. Dangote. This was in September 2024. Now, let's take a look at how netizens are reacting to this, including David Hundeyi, actually. Kalu Aja. Okay, Ikechukwu wants to say something before we take a look at the reactions.
So basically, right, if you look at Dangote and the Pengassan issue, right, Dangote firing 800 workers, it's really not my problem. But I think if you are replacing your workers, you should replace them with 2,000 Nigerians.
Why? So that they will now decide to go and join the union again, and then you have the whole problem recycled.
So you're saying that you bring foreigners into the country to work, you create jobs for foreigners in Nigeria, and those foreigners have no business with our laws or have no business with doing something the way Nigerians are supposed to do it.
Unionism, is it a law thing?
Yes, I mean, there's...
Dangote himself said it. We had that hashtag where he said it is not written in the laws
it's not,
that your staff members must join a union.
But the truth is, Viv,
he said it.
The truth is, just like we have the legislator checking on the executive, right? This is where the unions come in for people who runs companies. If you don't do it, you're actually giving this thing he's fighting, saying these guys are cartel, worse than drug cartel. He's going to become a bigger monster if there's no union to check him.
Well, that's your take. That's your opinion. Let's take a look at what netizens are saying. We'll go back to X now to see how Nigerians are reacting to this particular wahala between Dangote and Pengassan. Let's begin from the first one we're going to read before Ikechukwu decided to react. So Kalu Aja says, we play in this nation. A union will shut off crude oil valves. Think about that for a moment. What powers give a union the right to shut off crude oil pipes? For whatever reason, the government that wants to achieve $1 trillion GDP should act now. Go abroad to any functional democracy or non-democratic nation and tell the government you will shut off the largest functional refinery in the country for any reason. This is precisely why I said these unions have held Nigerians to ransom. Let's take a look at the next one now. So David Hundeyin says, which is precisely why I refused to say anything about their struggle with Dangote, he's responding to Kalu. I reflexively know that trade unions are supposed to be leftist political entities, but I also know that in Nigeria, trade unions will act on behalf of anyone who their leadership enough money, or who is their leader with enough money, including local competitors and foreign governments. Dangote Refinery is clearly fighting a multi-directional war for survival, and we know who the real masquerades in Europe are behind this war. If the cost of winning this war for Nigeria's energy independence is that every single Pengassan member should be publicly hung, and oh my gosh, he said, this is weighty, I'm not going to read the rest of that. He's saying it's not too big a price to pay. 200 million lives will always be more important than the interest of a dishonest and insincere trade union. Now, this is the trajectory of the gist on X. Most Nigerians are not on the side of Pengassan. In fact, some of them are saying allegedly they were the ones who refused to have privatization work when it comes, in fact, when it comes to selling the moribund refineries, because they had their staff working there. Monies were being pumped into that place. These staff were being paid. These refineries were not pumping oil. But then again, Pengassan will say, no, you can't sell it and all. So most, if you go to follow the thread, most Nigerians are saying, go, Dangote, go. We are behind it. And they're saying, really, it's a cartel.
So again, right?
You seem to be the lone voice here.
Well, I understand what people are saying, that perhaps their fingers who are actually pushing the Pengassan to ensure that they unionize Dangote so that they're able to control it. But the truth is this, right? For everything, there should be balance. This is where the government steps in. So if people who are claiming that their fingers who are actually pushing Pengassan to actually do this job against this hatch job against Dangote, and then
have you ever wondered why that is? Why Europe is even coming into this matter?
No,
because allegedly,
I understand it.
Allegedly, some European or some world powers are not even happy that you have the largest refinery of that.
True.
A refinery of that capacity.
I agree.
In Nigeria, Africa, for that matter.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And this is why I understand where they're actually coming from. But the question is, if this is what is happening, and the government is really interested in actually moving our energy sector forward, why is the government not stepping in?
The government has stepped in. As we speak, there's a meeting between Pengassan and the Minister of Finance, as well as a number of high-profile government officials, to ensure that Pengassan does not enforce a strike action, and to ensure that there is no fuel scarcity.
Because
to ensure that this matter is, nipped in the bud.
Because, say, for example, someone asked a question, right? Just imagine the Nigerian education sector without an ASU. What will teachers be like?
Yeah, well, I've not thought about that.
So this is exactly more like the case.
And it's not teachers as a whole. You're just talking about lecturers in higher institutions, right?
Lecturers, technically, that's what I'm talking about.
But hey, Dangote is saying that there is no law that is binding, that my staff members must be members of this union. He said it, right? And he quoted the section of the law.
True. One thing I'm so afraid of, and I don't like it, and it's anti-progress for any country that wants to move forward, is monopoly. And if Dangote has this way, I think even if they don't end up unionizing his workers, there should be a way to check them. It's very important. There should be a way to check Dangote, basically, not even them.
Why do you keep saying that? Check Dangote for what?
Yes, because basically, right, I mean, he can actually decide to wake up tomorrow and do whatever it is.
But has he done that?
No, he hasn't.
Because you keep saying this.
But see,
this man has been
if there's no law.
Has he been in business for years or not? No, but wait. Has he done any of these things you keep thinking up like he's going to do? Has he?
People change. Oh, businessmen change.
Oh, please. We are wrapping up that particular hashtag. We are moving on to the last one for today, which is hashtag Super Eagles. Like Ikechuku said earlier on, that they have a lifeline now because South Africa has actually been fined by FIFA for fielding an illegal or overaged player.
Ineligible player.
Ineligible, overaged.
No, not overaged. He had 2 yellow cards.
Okay.
He was supposed to miss the next game.
So this is your forte. Tell us about it before we go to X.
So he had 2 yellow cards.
Yeah.
Right. And he was supposed to miss the next game. Right. Mm-hmm. And he was actually fielded. It's more like a red card. 2 yellow cards is 1 red card. So he was actually fielded. And that's an infraction. Nigeria made the same error with Shehu Abdullahi in 2018, going to the World Cup against Algeria. We forgot that he had 2 yellow cards right before the Algeria game. And then we fielded him. So 3 points was deducted. Okay. Right. So though it was deducted towards the end of that particular qualifying series. But now Nigeria got wind of this earlier, and Nigerians started pushing FIFA. You must deduct this before it, because there's a lot of advantage for South Africa in this group. so many. Most of the teams in that group, Lesotho and Zimbabwe, play their home games in South Africa, right? Because perhaps they don't have a standard pitch. Now, South Africa is playing about more than 6 games at home, away from home. Some, and those teams will also still come to South Africa to play. More like South Africa will always choose, okay, this I'm interested in this one, getting this because it's going to favor me. So more like this, the group is skewed to favor them. Now this happened. So,
but is the Bafana a good team or not?
On paper, right?
Oh my gosh, on paper. Yeah, well, let me take
it. In football, there's what we say. There's what you say on paper. These guys are better, but of course, in reality, these guys are better.
Let's go to X, guys. Trending Explain is going to give us a bigger picture, and then we'll take a couple of reactions from netizens. It is hashtag Super Eagles. We're coasting home. Let's do this. Let's take it. Yes, Trending Explain says Super Eagles is trending because FIFA has given Nigeria a potential World Cup lifeline after sanctioning South Africa for an offense since 2023. McKenna received 2 yellow cards, one against Benin on November 18, 2023 of the 54th minute, another yellow at the 52nd minute on June 11, 2024 against Zimbabwe. Apparently, according to FIFA regulations for the World Cup preliminary competition, if a player gets 2 yellow cards across different games, they are automatically suspended for the next game. Between the game against Zimbabwe and Lesotho, Bafana played 10 non-qualifiers game. Wow. Fortunately and unfortunately, Bafana used Mukina in their next World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho, which was played nearly 1 year later on the 21st of March, 2025. It's an epistle, but I just grabbed, just this few paragraphs for you to have a picture. Let's take a look at the reactions now. So the reactions basically is, I think I remember them because they're very short. Allah says Nigeria no go still qualify. Chibo is the one who says South Africa will still qualify. So that's just what Nigerians are basically saying online.
So with the current standing of the group, right, South Africa is now 14 points. Benin Republic is top now, 14 points. South Africa second, 14 points. Goal difference because 3 points and 3 goals was deducted from South Africa. So Nigeria is third, 11 points. Then Rwanda, 11 points. So if Nigeria is actually playing, our last 2 games will be Lesotho and Benin Republic, that is top. And South Africa is also going to play Rwanda as one of the teams in the group, which is 11 points. So everybody's actually looking at winning their 2 games to actually make it through to the qualifying rounds. So it's still very tricky, it's still very open. I think Nigerians are looking at the position where Nigeria end up winning their 2 games, and other teams in the group can't actually get the 6 points at the end of the day. So if it happens that way, that particularly because South Africa seems to be like the strongest, apart from Nigeria in that group, if South Africa ends up not getting 6 points in that group, or perhaps they get 2 points, 2 draws in the remaining 2 games, which is still very tricky, to imagine. But if it happens that way, then of course Nigeria wins, have 2 games. But Benin Republic is actually top now. So they're also looking at actually making it through to the World Cup, and so it's going to be tricky against Benin Republic.
This is the impression I got from the comments on this particular thread or this particular hashtag, that Nigerians are no longer optimistic. Yeah. It looks like they've lost hope
because the people who actually managing our football really made a mess of the whole situation from the beginning. Imagine Nigeria playing about 4 games and we're yet to actually get even 6 points. So it was bad. Until pretty much very midway into the qualifying round and started amassing points. It's not a good feel.
Let's hope that things will get better tomorrow. Tomorrow being the future, hopefully, so that Nigerians will always have a reason to smile when it comes to football as well as other things. Not just female football, but male football as well. Yeah, you're good. No, it should go both ways, female, male. Yeah, the pendulum should swing like this. But guys, this is where we got to wrap it up. Yeah, I got to say thanks to everyone who contributed to making the show a success. Bigger thanks to you guys for watching. If you liked it, keep a date again with Ikechukwu and I for another edition of Hashtags right here. Same station, same time. Until then, take care of you. I am Vivian. Bye.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shifts with every headline,
In a nation full of questions,
in a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shape our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And on the bold angle with Jomalina, we dive deeper into stories that shape our world.
don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. People's Voice, Mondays through Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count. From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents,
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay. towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Are you ready to lift him high? All around the world, it's time. Let the praise wave ride. It's Praise Wave Live. Oh yeah, the rhythm of grace we testify. Let's go. He turned our mourning into dancing, our silence into shouting. It's Praise Wave Live. Let the glory rise. We're riding the wave. Every moment, every tribe. Praise wave, lift him up. Praise wave, don't stop now. Praise wave, all day, all night. Once we're live, let the world ignite.
3 years ago, we lit the spark. Today, we are blazing the trail for others to follow. VOP Media is free. 3 years of breaking boundaries. 3 years of being that bold voice that echoes the thoughts of the people. 3 years of telling stories that matter.
We have experienced complete breakdown in democratic governance.
We are not just a brand. We are a movement, giving voice to the voiceless.
We go to bed empty hunger.
To every viewer, every voice, and everyone that has made us who we are, we say thank you. VOP Media, 3 years and still counting. VOP TV, now you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
Welcome to Kitty's Corner. Every weekend is a new journey. Join Auntie Oni as she embarks on thrilling adventures. Each episode takes the young explorers to a different fantastical world filled with exciting challenges, making new friends and learning valuable life lessons. The show begins with lots of excitement in a cozy storytelling mood. Fairies teach the importance of kindness, honesty, bravery, teamwork, or curiosity. Kitty's Corner is a delightful blend of fun, education, and imagination with catchy songs, interactive games, and heartwarming stories. Join Auntie Oni every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Voice of the People Television. Kitty's Corner, perfect destination for curious minds.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche. Before we begin, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. First, the headlines. Tinubu assures North's economic recovery and assures prosperity. Also, federal government and Pengassan Dangote Refinery meet over dispute. Senior civil servants vow solidarity strike against Dangote. ASU issues 14-day notice strike over unmet demands. Kekereakun urges judiciary reforms for efficiency. Police to retire officers after 3 promotion exam flops. On the foreign scene, Trump mouths supplying Ukraine long-range missiles. In business news, ACCI urges Africans to trade and invest for economic sustainability. In sports news, AFN urges efficient funding of Nigeria's athletics. And in entertainment news, Tinubu unveils renovated National Arts Theatre, October 1. Well, now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has assured the northern region of critical industrialization projects and economic recovery, stating that Nigeria's prosperity is inseparable from the future of northern Nigeria. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, spoke at the Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit, NNIIS 2025 in Abuja, organized by the leadership of the Northern Elders Forum, NEF. He commended NEF for its determination to change the narrative and reposition the region as an innovation and industrial hub. Tinubu said, if Nigeria unlocks the North's minerals, the nation will secure a new era of industrial competitiveness, and if it unlocks the region's agriculture, this will guarantee food security and export leadership. He added that if the country unlocks the North's power, it ignites a wave of industrialization that will employ millions of Nigerians. According to him, the North is not just a part of the country, but its engine. Highlighting key reforms in mining, agriculture, and power, the president emphasized that these sectors remain the backbone of Nigeria's economy. Reports say the federal government is sitting behind closed doors in Abuja with leadership of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, and representatives of Dangote Refinery. The meeting, at the instance of the Minister of Labor and Employment, Mohammed Dingyadi, is aimed at resolving the lingering feud between Pengassan and Dangote Refinery. Pengassan President Comrade Festus Osifo and General Secretary of Trade Union Congress, TUC, Dr. Nuhu Toro, are leading the workers' team, while Dingyadi is leading the government officials. The federal government had on Sunday summoned the Pengassan leadership and the management of Dangote Refinery to an emergency meeting over the same issue. Meanwhile, the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, ASCSN, has expressed readiness for a solidarity strike with the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, if Dangote Petroleum Refinery does not reinstate the dismissed workers. In a statement, ASCSN President Shehu Mohammed described the reported sack of union members as a gross violation of Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution on freedom of association and of the International Labour Organization, ILO, as ratified by Nigeria. According to him, such acts are unacceptable and cannot be tolerated in a democracy. Therefore, ASCSN is demanding the immediate reinstatement of all affected workers and an independent investigation into Dangote Refinery's anti-labor practices. It further warned that failure to resolve the matter swiftly could trigger wider industrial unrest, as an injury to one worker is an injury to all. In the meantime, Nigeria may be heading into tougher days as the nationwide strike declared by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, takes full effect. The industrial action triggered by the sack of over 800 Nigerian workers at the Dangote Refinery has halted crude oil and gas supplies and is already raising fears of fuel scarcity and prolonged power outages across the country. VOPTV correspondent Onyida Mola Olukuton reports on how the strike is unfolding and the growing concerns over its impact on the economy and daily life.
Nigerians may be heading into tougher days as the nationwide strike declared by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria takes effect today, Monday. The strike, which began at 12:01, has altered crude oil and gas supply to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, sparking fears of fuel scarcity and higher petrol prices. Oil marketers have warned of several disruptions in fuel distribution, while power generation companies announced a shutdown of all thermal plants, a move that could plunge the nation into prolonged blackouts, crippling economic activities and deepening hardship for millions of Nigerians. Pengassan says the strike follows the dismissal of the 800 Nigerian workers by the refinery, allegedly for joining the union, and claims they were replaced by foreign workers in violation of Nigerian labor laws and international conventions. Unless the federal government intervenes, the situation could further strain the economy and escalate public discontent. As Voice of the People TV, we're on the street to witness if the filling stations are still selling fuel to the commuters and also to gather the opinions of citizens regarding this pending situation.
Everything in Nigeria, once government is handling something and individual decide to come in, it's never a process. The individual that is coming in always see it difficult to come in because some group of people may be thinking he's coming there in order to deprive them some certain benefits or whatever they may feel. I think this is what I personally feel over it. Dangote, he will not find it easy because of some certain issues lingering there. I think this is not the first time we're having a fuel scarcity in Nigeria. For a very long time it has been happening, and Nigeria has been going through it, and Nigeria has been surviving it. All I know is that even if they have to go strike for good 1 month, Nigeria will still survive it. There is no way Nigerians will die because there is fuel scarcity. The Nigerians must find way, one way or the other, in order to get through.
Because Nigerian people must benefit for inside your own meters. So you're not supposed to be like that.
My own take on this is just that you just find solution to it because it's going to create a lot of chaos in the country. Not one state, the whole 32 states, you understand? So sacking 800 workers in a day, wow. Well, because that's what they do for a living. They have a lot of family that depends on them. So how are they going to live? So they should just look into it so that maybe they should just resolve every issue on ground. So, and the issue of the fuel also, because it will affect every millions of Nigerians, not one person. So we just pray that things go the normal way that we pray to, for a better Nigeria.
Despite the strike, filling stations are seen still selling fuel to commuters. But Nigerians don't know how long this is going to continue. If the strike placed on Dangote for not getting crude oil as a result of laying off 800 Nigerians in a day would affect general commuters, and there'll be blackouts in Nigeria. Citizens are worried and calling on the federal government to look into this and see a way to resolve this at an amicable level so that Nigerians don't face having hardship or fuel scarcity again at this moment. I'm Oyindamola Olukuto reporting for Voice of the People TV.
Oyindamola, thank you so much. Still on labor disputes, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has issued to the federal government a 14-day ultimatum to address the lingering issues affecting the universities or face a strike action. In a statement at the end of its National Executive Council, NEC, at the University of Abuja, the union decried what it called government's consistent neglect of public universities and the welfare of the academic staff. ASU President Professor Christopher Piwuna recalled that the union had staged rallies across federal and state universities in August to draw attention to the plight of the system. However, he lamented that the efforts yielded no meaningful response from the government. He warned that if the federal government fails to act within the ultimatum, ASU will first go on a 2-week warning strike and afterwards proceed on a total an indefinite shutdown of universities nationwide if nothing meaningful is still done. ASU listed its demands to include a renegotiation of the 2009 ASU-FGN agreement, sustainable funding of universities, revitalization of public universities, and an end to the victimization of members at LASU, Prince Abubakar Audu University, and the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. In another development, the federal government has launched a new communication strategy for the education sector. The new strategy for 2025 to 2027 is aimed at strengthening transparency, accountability, and public trust in the ongoing reforms. Speaking at the program's official launch in Abuja, the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, described communication as a central pillar of reform and national development. He stressed that education is not only about classrooms and textbooks, but shaping the destiny of the children and the nation's prosperity. According to the minister, the strategy is not a document to be shelved, but a blueprint for telling Nigeria's education story with clarity, credibility, and consistency. He added that the framework unites all departments and agencies, sets standards for stakeholder engagement, and serves as a social contract with Nigerians. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has restated her commitment to judiciary reforms to ensure efficient and effective justice administration. Kekereekun, who spoke on Monday in Abuja during a ceremony to swear in 57 new senior advocates of Nigeria, SANs, at the Supreme Court, restated her resolve to ensure transparency and judicial excellence as the Apex Court commenced the 2025-2026 legal year. The CJN also called on the legislature to enact laws that would strengthen judicial independence, anti-corruption mechanisms, and streamline court processes. She further called on the executive arm of government, especially in the states, to provide adequate funding for the judiciary, improve judicial infrastructure, and support the implementation of technological advancement, stating that the judiciary, especially at the sub-national level, was underfunded. She listed the reforms to sanitize the justice sector, reduce delay, and restore public confidence to include the restructuring of the Apex Court's litigation department and the digitization of court records, among others. Well, turning to other stories now, the federal government has declared Wednesday, October 1, as a public holiday to commemorate Nigeria's 65th that effect. The Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubuchi, historic celebration enjoined citizens to continue to uphold the patriotic spirit, unity, and resilience that have sustained the nation since its independence in 1960. He expressed confidence that with the cooperation of all Nigerians, the country will continue to grow stronger in peace, progress, and development. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says the federal government is planning a low-key celebration. Addressing a pre-independence World News Conference in Abuja, Idris said the theme of the celebration is all hands on deck. According to him, activities start with the Jumat prayers on Friday and end with the Thanksgiving service on Sunday. He added that the National Value Charter, being championed by the National Orientation Agency as a framework for cultivating national pride and fostering responsible citizenship, will also be unveiled. Matters now. With fewer than 20 million lives reportedly claimed by cardiovascular diseases worldwide yearly, the Nigerian Heart Foundation to prevent avoidable deaths. Speaking during the 2025 World Heart Day commemoration in Lagos, medical experts, led by the Executive Director of NHF, Dr. Kingsley, called for collective responsibility to create healthier environments, stating that everyone has the choice to protect their health. He added that governments, towns, faith-based organizations, and civil societies have salient roles to promote a heart-healthy population. Calling for more awareness campaigns and education, the health practitioner also urged the National Assembly to ensure improved health insurance to promote cardiovascular health For his part, the chairman of the NHF's World Heart Day 2025 event, Professor Aki Osebogun, noted that death from cardiovascular diseases comes with consequences on families, villages, and communities. And as the world confronts rising food prices and environmental challenges, the observance of International Day of Food Loss and Waste Awareness on September 29 is a reminder that every grain supporting sustainable banking are not just economic choices, they are moral imperatives for a greener, hunger-free future. VOP's Vic Baki has more in this report.
Every year, the world produces enough food to feed everyone. Yet, over 1.3 billion tons are either or wasted on our tables. Harvesting, storage, and transportation, while food happens in homes, restaurants, and supermarkets. This double challenge not only deepens global hunger, but also worsens climate change, with wasted food accounting for nearly 10% of global greenhouse gas emission. But the fight against food waste is no longer left to farmers and consumers alone. Financial institutions are stepping in, using sustainable banking practices to fund eco-friendly farming, food recovery projects, and innovative storage technologies. Experts say individuals also have a role to play in planning purchases carefully, storing food properly, support food donations program. Together, these efforts can save money, feed the hungry, and protect the planet. Let's hear the thought of an expert who is a farmer, Mr. Lawal Ekundayo.
Now, food loss and wastages globally is a very serious case, because we have a lot of people, malnourished. Food doesn't get to them, and the food that gets to them is not enough. So it's a very serious case that is affecting almost every part of the world. The first thing is during harvesting. Now, when we should use modern method in harvesting, like combined harvest, so that can quickly harvest everything on farm at a short time. Some can even process it almost to the last stage on farm. So that will save a lot of wastage. Second, transportation from the farm to where they will be stored is also very crucial. So they need to be transported quickly. So we need a good transportation from the farm to where they will be stored. And then transportation from where they are stored to the market is also important. And then government should also subsidize a lot. There should be a lot of subsidy in agricultural production, so that the money for producing it will be so low that the farmers can sell it at a very affordable price, so that within 1 week you already finish selling everything, so that what you have harvested again can get to the people, so that they can make use of it. That's how we can really stop wastages.
As the world confronts rising food prices and environmental challenges, today's observance is a reminder that every grain counts. Reducing food losses and supporting sustainable banking are not just economic choices, they are moral imperatives for greener, hunger-free future. Victoria Ogbaki for Voice of the People TV.
Well, Victoria, thank you so much for that report. And now the Catholic Diocese of Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, has ordered the immediate closure of all unapproved Catholic schools operating under its authority. In a statement on behalf of the Bishop, Most Reverend Dr. Peter Chukwu, the Director of Catholic Education, Reverend Father Edward Inyanwachi, directed school managers to shut down such schools without delay. According to the diocese, no diocesan school is permitted to operate within the church buildings or parish halls. It urged parents whose children are affected to enroll them in nearby approved schools. It further directed school managers to ensure an orderly refund of fees already paid by parents and to formally disengage teachers employed in the affected schools. Father Nyawachi explained that the tough measure was necessary to comply with government regulations and to avoid embarrassment that could arise from enforcement against such illegal schools. Now, the failed rapture prophecy by South African cleric Joshua Maleka has left many of his followers in disarray after they took drastic steps in anticipation of the event. The Christian Association of Nigeria has condemned the prophecy, describing it as deceptive and dangerous to true Christian faith. The incident has sparked widespread concerns, with citizens sharing their reactions to the growing influence of false preachers.
Has their own belief and perspective. So if you know that you are not sure of what they are saying, you just excuse yourself. Don't pay attention or listen to things that will, confuse your life and make you not even pursue your goals. Because when they say these things, it deters you from even pursuing your goals, because you're only thinking that the world is going to end. You will not pursue your dreams, your visions, and all of that. So I think we should focus on, our problems and fight them.
Everybody is a prophet. You are a prophet. I'm a prophet. Normally, I didn't believe in all this prophet of it sin, because even the Bible do not put the dates that the war is going to end. So you believing that the war will end, I'm seeing you as a fool, man. Like, you don't know what you are doing. You don't even know you are God. You are God supposed to tell you that this war is ending before telling another person. So if you are believing about prophecy, I don't have anything to say about that. That is your own belief.
People need to go beyond who they see on the pulpits. The Bible always say you are God, so which means that the power has already been in us. So one person cannot just come and say the world will come to an end, and everybody is frigilating and have sold their properties, and now where are they? So in the aspect of that is also corruption. Now corruption is not only in part of the government, corruption is also in the part of the people that are being led, especially our spiritual fathers. They are giving false informations, they are giving false gospels, and which have made citizens to also crumble and fall in their own paths. So that really needs to stop. People should go back to their tradition, study your Bible, and God will speak to you from there.
Well, joining us virtually to analyze these stories is public affairs analyst Amobi Iheboro. Amobi, thank you so much for joining us again on NewsHour.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So for starters, right, President Bola Tinubu has assured the northern region of critical industrialization projects and economic recovery, stating that Nigeria's prosperity is inseparable from the future of northern Nigeria. And the president also went on to say that the north is not only important, but it's the engine room of the country. Recall that some months ago, high-profile politicians, one of them being NNPP chieftain, Kwankwaso, had come out to say that President Tinubu had marginalized the North. There was no development in the North and all. Do you think this is a response to agitation by Northerners that the North has been sidelined by this administration?
If my memory serves me right, about last year, some group of people that called themselves patriots, they were advocating for regionalism. Could it be a way to, justify that call by the patriots? I think the regions, if we go back to regional economic development, I think that will help us, because Nigeria is endowed, by not just oil, but by solid minerals also. The issue of Zamfara, Nasarawa State is just a case in point. So I think the call is well placed, but my fear is that these conferences and talk shops and what have you are becoming too many. I will want a situation where, government at the federal and regional or state levels should be able to walk the talk. A lot of conversations going around, a lot of talk shops and all that. But if the northern Nigeria is trying to, take the bull by the horn, it's a welcome development. It will be for the overall development and growth of this country. So it's a welcome development, provided it will not end in the conference room.
All right. So what I hear you say is decentralization is the key, where the center is not as powerful as it is now, and the regions are more powerful. That's what you're saying, right?
I agree with you completely. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because a lot of works has gone into analyzing Nigerian socio-political and economic problems. And we found out that a lot of emphasis is placed on the center, which is not supposed to be. So if we move away from the center, kind of centrifugal forces, if we move away from the center, it could be a better strategy to developing this country. I think it's a welcome development. I want them to really walk the talk, not talk and talk and talk.
Okay, walk the talk. That's a safe place to land on that particular one. Let's move on now. Reports reaching us say that government is meeting behind closed doors in Abuja with the leadership of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, and representatives of Dangote Refinery. Now, there's been this tug of war between Pengassan and Dangote Refinery. Pengassan really had accused Dangote Refinery of anti-labor practices, of not allowing its staff to be part of the union. Dangote responded by sacking no fewer than 800 of its members that decided to join the union against the authorities' wishes, and replaced them with about 2,000 Indians. Pengassan is now firing their own salvo by saying that they're going to shut down operations in Dangote Refinery, ensure that there is strike action, ensure that there is blackout and fuel scarcity and all whatnot. What do you make of this whole saga, though?
Yeah, thank you very much. The last time I checked, Nigeria is not practicing socialism. Nigeria is not practicing what we call mixed economy. Nigeria is a purely capitalist society. And if somebody can borrow $20 billion to do an investment, I want to believe that the person must have done his feasibility studies very clearly. He must have known where to get his raw materials, know how to produce, know how to distribute, what are the means of distribution of these products. All these things will be encapsulated into making it possible for the investor to take up the gunto. And I think Mr. Dangote must have done all this. And recall also about a few years ago, when Dangote wanted to buy the refineries, he was stopped. Said, go and construct your own refinery. And the man, doggedly as he was, he went and constructed his own refinery. Now, when you invest such humongous amount of money in business, common sense dictates that you have to have return on investment. And if by having return on investment means streamlining operations, which Dangote has done, I do not see anything wrong with that. There was, as this crisis brews, Dangote also had 50,000 to 80,000 per truck. And in a day, you can load about 2,000 trucks. If you multiply this, you know how much is involved. You understand what I'm saying? And all these costs will be shifted to the end user. How long? This Rufai and Pengassan, they were there when our refineries were run aground. What did they do? Now an investor has come, throw in his hat in the ring, as it were. But this is what he gets. My fear about all this hulabaloo is that it will dissuade more investors from coming. It is not just enough to go to Brazil and go to anywhere and say investors should come. When they come, they look at the enabling environment. If any investor, foreign or even local, sees what Dangote is going through now, the person will not invest. It's simple. He will not invest. Dangote has also said, because union, like you said, is voluntary. You can't force somebody to join union, or you can't dissuade somebody from joining union. Agreed. But this is purely a private sector, private economy, a businessman. If Nupeng, Pengassan, that man, and what have you, feel strongly about the unfair labor practices that Dangote is accused of, allegedly accused of, they should go and construct their own refinery and let some other person come and dictate to them how to run their business. So the bottom line of what I'm saying is that a lot of consideration should also be given to this. And in all this, where is the Minister for Petroleum Resources? I cannot see him. Though it is a labor matter, which dovetails into the purview of the Minister of Labor and Employment and Productivity. But the substantive minister should be seen to be also be active in this, because energy security is critical. Energy security is critical. My worry about all this is that it will negatively impact on investors, both locally and internationally.
All right. Let's push this a little bit further before we go to something else. What do you make of insinuations that investigative journalist David Hundeyi is making that Europe has a hand in what's playing out between Pengassan and Dangote? David Hundeyi is saying that the European nation really is not happy with the way things panned out. Dangote building this kind of refinery with such massive capacity, and that it is the one sponsoring Pengassan and firing up these problem between the two parties. Speculations, or do you think there is really no smoke without fire?
I wouldn't want to delve into that because I don't have sufficient information, but everything is possible. He broke a jeans. He's even exporting petroleum products to outside this country. And people may not, you see, old habits die very hard. There are people that have benefited immensely from the decadence of the past, and they will find it extremely difficult to give up. There is a lot of money made in oil business. One presupposes that because we have oil, Nigeria would have been an Eldorado. But what is playing out is not, it's negative. How can we have oil and we are having problem, challenges, more than the countries that have no oil? Is oil a blessing or a curse? I'm tempted to ask. So everything is possible. This is international business. Of course, he buys in dollars and all that. He also sells in dollars. Some people may want to run him down. He also has, he's not, a child. He's not he's knowledgeable also to be able, because that is why he's alleging sabotage and what have you. So everything is possible, where money is made. But I want, my advice is that the government should come in, because energy security is key. And Dangote has demonstrated in a clear terms that he has the capacity, he has the effrontery, he has what it takes to pull Nigeria to where Nigeria should be in terms of energy security.
Okay. It is important to put it out there that Dangote came out in 2024, really, September 2024, to say that the oil industry in Nigeria is like a cartel, which is even more dangerous than the drug cartel. But meanwhile, though, the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria has expressed readiness for a solidarity strike with the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria if Dangote Petroleum Refinery does not reinstate the dismissed workers. Now, this is Dangote Refinery's arms being twisted right here. Do you see him reinstating the sacked workers at all?
A lot of unions joining into the fray to be able to make a point. Where were all these people when Warri Refinery was run aground? Port Harcourt Refinery was run aground, Kaduna Refinery was run aground, and a whooping sum of $21 billion was expended on turnaround maintenance. Where were they? These are critical, fundamental questions we should ask ourselves. So if the senior civil service are joining, I wouldn't know where it is coming from. Efforts should be made to, make sure that the two warring factions, because the issue was Nupeng ab initio. After Nupeng, it was that man. After that man, it is now Pengassan. So you see how the thing is going. A union will come and try its own luck, and then after some time, another union takes over another. It is very unfortunate that this is happening to Dangote. Recall, 3-4 years ago, we were all hoping, very hopeful, that Dangote Refinery is a game changer. So we believed, and it has not, but people do not want it. People do not want it. You see, people always gravitate around opportunities. And when you see that your ability to penetrate or dip your hand into the cookie jar is being, threatened, this kind of situation is what you see. So the civil servants, threatening to join, is neither here nor there for me. But the important thing is that the government should take up the gun too. Sometimes, it's a democratic setting, but it is very, very important that government should make a bold statement. That is what I'm saying. They should make a bold statement with a view to ensuring that peace returns to the energy sector. Now, Dangote is the only refinery we have. If anything happens to Dangote Refinery, of course, there will be catastrophe, economic catastrophe. Already, industries are feeling it up. They're feeling the pinch because their gas supplies to these manufacturing industries have been cut off. They are not producing anything. So where do we go from here?
Okay.
Dangote has created jobs. He said 800 jobs are lost. But the man is also telling you that he's creating 24,000 jobs. So where do we go from here? Must it be our members? So at times we should re-examine the whole issue about unionism. Is unionism supposed to be a kind of win-win situation? That is what I want to see. Where it could be a win-win situation. It's not, after that, I want the unions to debunk what Dangote said. He said the workers in his company earns ×2 or ×3 what their counterpart in the same industry earns. They have not been able to debunk that. You get what I'm saying? After 3 years, if you do not have an accident, you are entitled to a loan to build your house and all that. These are all incentives. Are they looking at the, issues with this, in this direction, or you must form a union? We must collect our check-off dues and all that. That is where pecuniary consideration is beclouding the social and economic benefits of this refinery.
That's a safe place to land on that one. Quickly, before we wrap this up, though, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has restated her commitment to judiciary reforms to ensure efficient and effective justice administration. This is a very noble initiative, wouldn't you say? Do you see anything meaningful coming out of this?
Again, well, it is part of a government gimmick to talk. Talking is not part of our problems. It is implementation that is part of the problem. She also, encouraged government to up their ante in terms of infrastructure in the judiciary, and all that. This is a welcome development. And because the time when judges will write in longhand, and then a case that is supposed to have lasted for 6 months will last for 6 years and what have you. I want this new energy that the Chief Justice of Nigeria is bringing to the table to rub off on elections also. I want to see a situation where the person that won an election should clear all encumbrances in terms of court cases before being sworn in. Before being sworn in. If this is done, it will give a whole lot of hope. So the Chief Judge should also factor this into her propositions, that election cases should be disposed of before swearing in and all that. All these things will make our judiciary top notch. All these things will rekindle the interest in our judiciary, and then add hope that the judiciary is truly the last hope of the common man.
Very well said, Amobi. Thank you so much.
Very well said, Amobi.
For
Thank you.
your insightful intervention. We are grateful.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. So I have been speaking with Amobi Yegboro. He is a public affairs analyst. We move on now with the rest of the bulletin. The Lagos State government has announced a temporary closure of all private and commercial jetties along the 5 Cowries Creek. The closure, which takes effect from October 3 to 5, is to enable the state host the world's first all-electric powerboat race, the E1 Championship. According to the Lagos State Waterways Authority, the restriction is a vital safety and security measure to ensure smooth event operations and protect lives. Meanwhile, normal operations at the affected jetties and terminals are expected to resume on Monday, the 6th of October. And on police officers who failed the compulsory promotion examination 3 times will be retired from service, the Police Service Commission, PSC, has announced. PSC Chairman, Deputy Inspector General of Police Hashimu Argungu, retired, made the declaration on Monday when 30 senior police officers sat the Commission's promotion examination in Abuja. In a statement, the PSC spokesman Ikechukwu Ani said the exercise marked a new prerequisite for career progression in the Nigeria Police Force. Participants in the promotion examination included 1 Assistant Inspector General of Police, 2 Commissioners of Police, 11 Deputy Commissioners of Police, and 16 Assistant Commissioners of Police. Argungu explained that the introduction of promotion examinations into the police system, which he said was long overdue, will restore dignity and professionalism in the force. On a sad note now, the remains of former Inspector General of Police, Dr. Solomon Arase, arrived in Benin City over the weekend aboard Nigerian Air Force flight NAV 031, drawing an emotional reception from security chiefs, Edo State officials, and family members. VOP TV correspondent Rhoda Johnny has details.
The remains of former Inspector General of Police Dr. Solomon Igatu Arese arrived in Benin City on Saturday at about 1:15 p.m. aboard Nigerian Air Force flight NAV 031. Born on June 21, 1956, Arese's homecoming drew tears and solemn tributes as senior officers, including AIG Suleiman Dogo and Edo Police Commissioner Monde Agbonika, joined Edo State Chief of Staff Alhaji Gani Awudu, who represented Governor Monde Okpebholo alongside his widow and family members. At the Benin airport, officers of the Edo Police Command mounted a short parade in his honor before the casket was moved to the Ebonyi mortuary. Awudu described him as one of Nigeria's finest police officers.
Arase to us is one of the finest police officers that we have seen in this part of the state. And losing him at this time, that is supposed to be very useful to the Nigeria police force in particular and the country in general, is a painful exit to all of us.
While AIG Dogo praised his reformist leadership and professionalism.
Retired IGP Arase, Solomon Arase Igato, while in police as the head, as number 1, he brought a lot of innovations to the job, which still remain indelible. Part of which I can remember is the IRT, and so many.
Family members, in emotional tributes, remembered Arese as a loving husband, caring father, and mentor whose humility and humanity touched countless lives.
Indeed, a sorrowful day for all of us. Everybody here is just here just because to be here. We are not happy with what happened. Our brother didn't live up to where we expected him to live because he's been so kind, so busy for life.
It's painful that the death came at this time. We miss him dearly. He's a good man to everybody. We cry to him whenever we need his help, and he always comes out to help. We miss him so much dearly.
Dr. Solomon Igiatu Arese will be laid to rest on Friday, October 3rd, 2025, after a funeral mass at St. Paul's Catholic Church, with interment at his Benin residence. In Benin, Rhoda Johnny, UP TV News.
And may former IGP Arase's soul rest in peace. Rhoda, thank you for that report. On the foreign scene now, the United States is considering a request by Ukraine for long-range Tomahawk missiles, with President Donald Trump expected to make the final determination on the matter, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said. Kyiv has long been calling on its Western partners to provide it with weapons that could hit major Russian cities far from the front line, arguing that they would help Ukraine seriously weaken Russia's military industry and bring the war to an end. Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Ivan Havryluk told newsmen that if the cost of continuing the war for Moscow is too high, it would be forced to start peace talks. Well, in business news, the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ACCI, has urged all Africans to strongly trade, invest, and build for a greater economic sustainability. Speaking at the opening ceremony of 20th Abuja International Trade Fair, AITF, ACCI President Emeka Obelugu said the fair has become a vibrant meeting point for ideas, brands, partnership, and opportunities. He explained that the theme of the AITF, which is sustainability, consumption, incentives, and taxation, reflects collective resolve to address pressing economic and environmental challenges. He noted that the AITF has grown from a modest local exhibition into Nigeria's most influential multi-sectorial trade platform and one of Africa's most recognized trade events. Begulu described the fair as more than a festival, but a call to action for Africans to trade with Africa, invest in Africa, and build Africa. According to him, this edition provides a strategic platform for business leaders seeking expansion and investment opportunities, and government institutions driving reforms and economic growth, as well as international partners exploring trade prospects in Africa. Well, in sports news, the technical director of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Gabriel Okun, has called on the National Sports Commission, NSC, to take concrete steps in providing sufficient financial support for the development of athletes in Nigeria. In a statement, Okun described some government officials' frequent excuse of lack of funds as retrogressive for the growth and development of athletics in the country. Okun, who just returned from the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, said Nigeria must adopt more sustainable funding model if its athletes were to compete favorably on the world stage. According to him, athletes require training grants, competitions, quality trainers, medical care, equipment, and welfare, which should not be compromised due to poor funding. He emphasized that Nigeria must move away from ad hoc arrangements and annual budgetary allocations and instead provide consolidated investment funds to properly support athletes. Citing Toby, Nigeria's 100 meters hurdles world champion and record holder, Okun said her success should inspire more investments in athletics. Well, entertainment news is next.
Welcome to the entertainment news.
President Bola Tinubu is set to inaugurate the newly renovated National Art Theatre in Igamu, Lagos on Independence Day. The Central Bank of Nigeria announced the event, highlighting that the renovation was funded by the CBN and the Bankers Committee as a commitment to Nigerians' cultural heritage. Tinubu, who renamed the theatre the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and the Creative Arts in July 2024, will be joined by state governors, National Assembly members, diplomats, industry leaders, academics, cultural ambassadors, and youth leaders. The reopening will feature performances by the national troupe and top artists, with the special remarks from Professor Wole Soyinka. CBN Governor Olayemi Kwadosa will give the welcome address alongside messages from Lagos Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economic, Hannatu Musawa. Away from that story, Nollywood actress Iyabojo vows fresh legal action against colleague Lizzie Anjorin over alleged defamatory remarks and threats to her family. This comes after months. A Lagos court struck out Ojo's 1 billion naira defamation suit against Anjorin over procedural issues and fined Ojo's lawyer 500,000 naira. The actress have been embroiled in a long-running feud played out on social media and in court. Anjorin has mocked Ojo in multiple Facebook Live videos, sparking parody videos on TikTok and Facebook. Ojo, in a recent Instagram post, said she had stayed silent on legal advice but confirmed her team is documenting all remarks. Elsewhere in the entertainment world, President Donald Trump announced the U.S. will impose a 100% tariff on all movies made outside the country. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the U.S. movie industry has been stolen by other countries. He first threatened such tariffs in May, but gave few details, causing confusion in the entertainment industry. And that's it for entertainment. I am Precious Agumanu.
Precious, thank you. And that wraps it up for us in News Hour. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines. We told you that President Tinubu has assured the north of his economic recovery and also assures prosperity. Also, federal government, Pengassan, Dangote Refinery meet over dispute. Senior civil servants vow solidarity strike against Dangote. ASU issues 14-day notice strike over unmet demands. Kekerekun urges judiciary reforms for efficiency. And police to retire officers after 3 promotion exam flops. On the foreign scene, Trump mouths supplying Ukraine long-range missiles. And in business news, ACCI urges Africans to trade, invest for economic sustainability. And sports news, AFN urges efficient funding of Nigeria's athletics. And in entertainment news, Tinubu unveils a renovated National Arts Theatre, October 1. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happening near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness reports, event coverage requests, photos, or videos directly via WhatsApp to 0814-606-4057. You can also reach our newsroom by email at news@vop.ng. I am Vivian Uguche. Thank you for watching.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
Behind every broken debt lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shapes with every headline,
in a nation full of questions,
in a world filled with noise, the truth needs the voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And on the bold angle with Jamalina, we dive deeper into stories that shape our world.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
It's a beautiful new working week, and today is Monday and it's also the 29th day in the month of September 2025. And a big welcome to another interesting edition of VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. I am Fina. Okay, Chuku. And then during these 2 hours that we have quite interesting lineups for our pleasure this morning. And one of it is that there's a call for the National Assembly to establish special courts for corrupt cases. And this is coming from Governor Sule, as you know, he's begging, or rather calling on National Assembly to find a way to implement this so that corrupt politicians will be tried within a specific time. And then there may be the judgment to also be handed over to them. Also on our radar today, fuel scarcity looms as Pengassan, Dangote happens to be in another bitter standoff. And Nigerians are the ones that will bear this brunt. You know what they talk about when two elephants fight? Who bears the brunt? The grass does. And if Pengassan and Dangote to continue with this, then that shows we'll have scarcity of not just fuel. There'll be PMS scarcity, diesel scarcity, kerosene scarcity, even cooking gas scarcity. Quite interesting time indeed in Nigeria.
Quite interesting time. Good morning and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. That's Voice of the People Television. And the star program is VOP this morning. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Now, away from all those, we also have Serap urges Tinubu to disclose INEC chair appointment process. Now, those are the major topics of discussion for today. But we also have other interesting trending stories. But before we get into all of that, we'll ask you to click on the subscription button and subscribe to our YouTube page. On YouTube, we have VOP TV Live. On other social media platforms, at VOP TV Live too. Now, let's get into interesting stories. Now, Tinubu inherited deep challenges, says Koka. Chartered stockbroker Olumuyiwa Koka believes President Bola Tinubu inherited deep challenges that couldn't be erased in 2 years. Koka, who ran for governor in 2018, praises Tinubu's efforts in tackling entrenched systems, including removing fuel subsidies and stabilizing the currency market. He highlights Tinubu's progress in restoring academic calendars, expanding healthcare access, and driving infrastructure development. Koka suggests former Ekiti governor Kayode Fayemi could have prioritized agriculture over airport projects for more impactful results. But he also believes the presidency should remain in the south to honor the rotation principle and preserve stability. Well, Koka said quite a lot, and it's quite interesting. If you know how Nigerians feel about the story, you simply need to go to X. You need to go to X to see how Nigerians are reacting to it. Some people say, well, the president should have known that, that Nigeria was in a deep mess before he took over, and that he promised Nigerians that he was going to put in his best. Is he putting in his best? Is he putting in his best? That's the question Nigerians are asking. And he also said, the president said, don't pity me. I know what I'm coming into. I took the job and all of that. Now, Nigerians are also asking, inherited deep what? From who? Is it from the PDP or from the APC? Well, it's not, Chukwuma Okoro will not tell you. The answers are very clear. Because as at the time Jonathan left government, inflation, exchange rate, debt exposure, we know the numbers. And the numbers have escalated, have skyrocketed from 8, about inflation from 8 to 22, as at the time he left it. Now from 22, it got to 34, 38 at a point. Exchange rate from 220, APC met it at 220 and took it to 780. And what again? And fuel itself, APC left, PDP left the fuel price at 187 or between 187 and 220 in different parts of the country. Now APC took it to how much? So all of those things are in the public domain. This is not subject to argument. Nigerians know what the president inherited from who he inherited it and all of that. But the main issue here is what efforts is the president making, is the government making to ensure that Nigeria goes back to where it was. A lot of people say, look, because Nigeria was in a deep mess, that was why APC had to come to untangle all of that. It's a big question. It's a big question that Nigerians are asking. Koka also went ahead to say, well, Kayode Fayemi shouldn't have built an airport. You should have prioritized. By the way, Koka said that the president is walking around infrastructure, healthcare services, and all of that. And I'm asking, healthcare services, and the president goes abroad, senior government officials. The other time it was the Senate president. The other time it was the minister of FCT were rumored to have gone. Both of them were rumored to have gone abroad for medical care. And we are hearing that the president is doing very well in healthcare services and infrastructure and all of that. Oh, well, I think it's very clear for everyone to see.
It's more than clear for everyone to see, because when we're talking about what Koka said, someone asked him, where have you been since 2018 after you vied for the governorship candidate in your